Alright, welcome to the Deucian Tutorials number 1, Flash Basics. I'm just going to go over a few things you need to know to understand the future tutorials I do, a few animation terms you probably don't understand unless you're familiar with traditional animation and frame by frame. First thing you should know is that I'm using an Intuos 12:9 drawing tablet, which instead of using a mouse to animate, I use a pen stylus and a drawing tablet, which allows me to draw directly onto the stage. It's a lot easier than having to use a mouse. A mouse is really useless for doing frame by frame and full body animation. Second thing you've probably noticed is that I haven't really done anything with the interface, the Flash interface, as far as customizing goes, and I don't really recommend it. The way it comes, it's pretty much perfect. You've got your tools over here, colors over here, and when you're doing animation, frame by frame animation, you're going to want easier access to your colors and your tools than really anything else. The library, when you're doing sprite and tweening, the library is important, but not so much when you're doing frame by frame. The only things that I've added to the interface are the autosave panels and scene panels. I anchored them over to the side here. I like those. They make my workflow a little bit easier. The autosave is actually a Flash extension. It doesn't come with Flash when you download it. I recommend getting it. It is what it says it is. It's an autosave, so you don't have to hit Control S every time you want to save. Alright, so let's teach you a few things. First thing you're going to want to know is what keyframes, in-betweening, and breakdowns are. And, okay, well here. A keyframe in animation is a main pose in the animated sequence. And if I was doing something simple like moving this circle over here on the stage, these would be the two keyframes because it's where it starts, it's where it ends. And in between is pretty much how it sounds, just the frame in between keyframes. And so frame 12, frame 1, frame 6, or 7 is in the middle. I'll just go with 6. And just draw the in-between picture. Another circle. Whoa. Didn't erase this one. Okay. So there's still really not that much movement. Kind of just teleports from the middle, beginning, middle, and end. If you want to make that smoother, you would add things called breakdowns, which are basically just the next step after in-betweens. They're just the in-between of in-betweens. And to do that, I just select the frame in between my keyframe and my in-between. A breakdown could also be in between two in-betweens, but if you're doing something short like this, they usually fall between an in-between and breakdown. I'll just take that. The two frames I'm doing right now are that one and that one. Just draw my circle right there. I'm not really paying attention to detail because this is just an example. Add another one here. And now you have a little bit of movement. It's 12 frames per second, so you're not really going to have that much, but it's better than it was before when it was just teleporting from here to there. When I'm normally doing keyframes and breakdowns and in-betweens, I'll have each one a different color. It makes things a little bit easier to look at. When everything's the same color like it is now, it's a little bit hectic. You don't really know what's what. You can't tell if this is a keyframe, that's a keyframe, is that an in-between, is that a breakdown. And when you use separate colors, it makes things easier. So if I use this color for my keyframes, maybe I use that color for my breakdowns, and then I don't know, red for my in-between. You can't, when you scrubbing through the animation, scrubbing is when you're flipping through it, not actually playing it when you hit enter, and you're controlling how fast it goes. When you're just scrubbing through it, it's noticeable the color change, but not really that much. And you're probably wondering, oh, well, if you change the color, it's going to look weird in the final animation. Well, when I finished a sequence and I'm done with the in-betweens and keyframes, and I'm going to go in and color it, I will change all the line work to the same color using the Edit All Frames button. I'll just do this, turn it on, hit Control A to select all the frames, and then now they're all the same color. Pretty simple stuff. Now, another thing you're going to want to know is the different kinds of animation. I just showed you in-betweening animation, and then the other one I'm going to show you is straight ahead animation. You can probably tell already what it is by the way it sounds. It's just drawing one frame after another frame after another frame after another frame. You're not doing keyframes in betweening things, getting it precise. You're just drawing one after another. And this is actually pretty useful. It might seem maybe inferior to doing in-betweens, but it's really not if you're doing things like special effects animation. I'm usually always doing straight ahead animation when I do that. But for full body animation, I suggest doing in-betweening because it'll keep your proportions and the size of the character's bodies the same, and everything will be a little bit neater. Okay, well that's pretty much it for the first tutorial. Hopefully you learned something. The next tutorials will be a little bit more interesting. I'll go into special effects, some different animation techniques, and yeah, that stuff will be fun.